This time around, the Real Screeners are going to give you our real take on what we consider the top 10 scariest movies of all time.
That's right. This is not your typical top horror movie list. This is more of what we consider to be the scariest. Whether it's the scariest scene, the scariest jump scare, the scariest storyline, whatever it may be, we were petrified when we saw these.
Right. And this is highly subjective in the sense that we wanted to pick movies that scared us when we first saw it. Okay, so whether it was 2 days ago or when we were 6 years old.
Or 15 years ago, right? I mean, because, you know, as you know, the shock value of movies have changed over time. So what was considered to be really scary back, 15 years ago, may be tame nowadays.
My number 10 is a movie that debuted in 1960. It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. It's a movie that I saw when I was very young, and it creeped me the heck out because I never wanted to take a shower again.
No way.
And that movie was Psycho. That's my number 10.
No way! You actually have a Hitchcock movie?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of suspense and buildup, and there's a screaming lady and a knife and a scary toilet, which I don't know why I thought it was scary when I was little.
And creepy, psychopath, peeping Tom, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's a psychological horror movie, obviously, which is why they call it Psycho. But yeah, it has a lot of suspense, and I appreciated that.
It's so well done too. It set the stage for just every slasher film ever made after. So I mean, that's a great pick, man. I'm surprised. All right, so my number 10 would be The Ring.
Oh, yes, that was a creepy.
I'm talking, of course, about the American version, not the Japanese version, with Naomi Watts. And when I saw that movie for the first time, I was so enraptured by the mystery of it. I was so interested in this idea of a videotape being kind of like cursed, and this voyage that she goes on. It's really creepy. There's creepy visuals and images, and the visuals haunt me to this day. The Ring.
Yeah, you think of a movie where a little girl's like,
and then
coming out of
kids, creepy kids. The creepy kid factor is definitely there.
My number 9 is going to be a movie that was directed by Ari Aster, and it's a movie I saw within the last year and a half. It is Hereditary. A lot of people might not put that on their top 10s, but this was a movie that had me on edge the entire movie. A lot of suspense, a lot of visual storytelling, not too many jump scares, but it was creepy, and I just felt it crawling at my back, and it had some scenes that were highly disturbing, and the climax was crazy.
And the chanting and the humming, and man, that movie left me suspended. I think is a good word to describe it in the theater. I was kind of in shock at the end of it.
You're like, what just happened?
Yeah, I was just like, what is this? Because the end is so hypnotic, and the journey there, you have satanic cults going on. You have a great performance by Toni Collette.
Beautiful, snubbed by the Oscars, snubbed by
some crazy events that happen throughout the movie, and of course some really crazy conflicts about dysfunctional families. So great minds think alike, because that was also my number 9.
Oh yeah?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't sure if that was going to make it on your list.
That was my number 9 movie. Of course, Ari Aster, Hereditary. That movie creeped under my skin.
So my number 8 is a movie that a lot of people consider the progenitor, or the foundation of all slasher movies. Can you guess what it is?
Well, is it maybe...
That's right. The tune everyone in the 80s tried to play on their little pianos and keyboards. Yes.
Michael Myers.
It is Halloween.
You can't beat Jamie Lee Curtis, who of course is Janet Leigh's daughter. So
it's the Scream
perfect.
Queen. Yeah.
Both are Scream Queens, and the creepiest mask.
Yeah, exactly. You never trusted anyone on Halloween or at any time who had a mask on after that movie.
A nice slow build-up, great musical score, and some creepy scenes. Yeah, throughout, definitely. Yeah.
You gotta have that in there.
So my number 8, man, is actually this Austrian horror film.
Indie film.
Yeah, it is an indie film.
Okay.
It's in German, I believe, and it's called Good Night, Mommy.
Never heard of it.
Well, I happened to catch this movie, I believe, on Amazon Prime. I hadn't even heard of it. I just happened to just find it, and I looked it up, and I read about it, and I said, I'll give this a watch. And man, if you are a parent, this might be the scariest movie ever made for a parent, especially if you're a mother.
I'll definitely not watch it then.
Oh my God, this movie, let's just suffice to say that it involves twins, and a mother who has had her face disfigured, and the kids are taking care of her, and then the movie takes you in some really crazy directions that you don't see coming. It is highly disturbing, man. It is highly, highly unsettling. There's some psychological and then supernatural elements in there, and it's definitely worth a watch.
Moving on to number 7. My number 7 is a movie that debuted. It was released, ironically, the day after Christmas in 1973. It's a classic that almost everyone has seen, and that I feel, although it's not as scary to today's standards, I still feel like it has that scare and creepiness and gross factor. It is the original Exorcist movie. I loved that movie when I saw it, and not just because I saw it when I was like, 7 or 8, and it scared the hell out of me, but because as I got older, I started to appreciate it for a lot of the suspense and the acting. The acting was fantastic in that movie.
That's a movie that I think people don't realize is a great character study. I mean, the complexities of the characters in that movie, because it's really about how every single one of those characters has these inner demons,
Right.
And that is a nice metaphor for the actual demon that possesses the girl, right?
What it did with the crucifix was kind of sacrilegious.
Yes, it was.
But shock factor. That movie is all about shock factor, right?
Yes, it was. Directed by William Friedkin. Awesome pick, man. My number 7 would be 1981's Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead
with
movie.
Ash.
Yes, directed by Sam Raimi with Ash. The trilogy as a whole works best as a horror comedy, but the first one, in my opinion, is truly terrifying and scary. It has some great makeup, even though it has some cheesy special effects. I mean, you could still see like how creepy these demons looked, these people looked when they were possessed. And then when, the scene that stands out to me is the scene of the one demon stuck in the basement, like hitting the door, trying to get out constantly, and then Ash having to like deal with his girlfriend being possessed and not knowing whether to kill her or save her. And it's just, it was a wild ride, man. Gory, fun, great point of view shots and stuff. So I really like that movie.
Moving on to my number 6, we're going to keep it in the woods, and I will go with the Blair Witch Project, okay?
Oh, wow.
At the time that movie was made,
99.
Yes, in the late 90s, a lot of people like myself were unsure whether that movie was real or not, because it comes across, it's filmed like a documentary.
A documentary, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shaky camera movement, classic,
Yes, and it felt so real with the screams in the distance, the echo in the forest,
the creepy sounds in general in the forest. You never knew.
They slow played a lot of stuff. They were walking in a different territory with like these, these I guess these witch, I don't know if they were icons or what they were.
Yeah, like relics and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know what you exactly call them, but
hanging off the trees. But it terrified me. There was some really good acting. It sounded so convincing, and then the very end gave me some of the biggest chills I've ever had in my life, and I still remember it to this day. I was freaked out.
So moving on to my number 6, I picked the 1999 Japanese horror film, which, by the way, the Japanese just put out some great horror films, but nothing beats Audition. The premise is simple. This older man who is now unmarried is looking for someone new in his life, so he holds these casting auditions for a movie, but in reality he's looking for a girl to date.
Okay.
And so exactly, and then the tables turn on him, and the girl that he picks, turns out to be a psychopath. And forget Fatal Attraction, forget Single White Female. This is the ultimate stalker / torture movie of all time.
Wow.
I mean, you will never look at acupuncture the same way again. I'm just gonna say that.
All right, I gotta check out these films for sure.
Yes.
My number 5 is The Evil Dead.
Evil Dead
with
81.
Ash. Yes, I mean, talk about a creepy movie. It's still creepy today, and like you said, one of the things that stands out is the makeup. These zombies look so gross and grotesque, and the things that they were doing to each other, it looks so real.
Yeah, it's just a fun ride, and it's relentless, and it doesn't let up.
Yes, exactly. And the point of view shots I thought was really unique. Through the forest, because you have the sense of like this foreboding spirit or entity,
Yes.
you know, just trying to hunt them down. And it's more than, you know, it's more than just your home invasion movie.
Right. Okay, so my number 5 is a pretty famous movie. It actually won Best Picture in 1991, and this is what I consider to be the best psychological horror film of all time, and it's The Silence of the Lambs, starring two giants, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster. You cannot beat that. When I saw that movie for the first time, it was the mental games and the mental manipulation that got to me the most. The way that he was able to just manipulate her, and to some degree vice versa. And then Buffalo Bill is just creepy, you know.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, that's just an added bonus to the movie. And of course, one of the best endings in film history, In the Darkness.
Yes.
You know, you can't beat The Silence of the Lambs.
Moving on to number 4.
Yes.
A movie that I only watched once because I could not take watching it again when I was a child in the 80s. It is The Thing. Now that's a remake from an older movie, but this movie was made
From the 1950s? You're talking about the 82 version?
I'm talking about the 82 version.
By John
for sure.
Carpenter.
Yes, with Kurt Russell, and God, just so grotesque. Everything was just in your face and gross and creepy. And then the scene I can't get out of my head is the scene where it was like a man's head and these spider legs coming out of it. And yeah, talk about nightmares.
That's one of my favorite horror films of all time. I completely agree with you. Perhaps it'll pop up on my list later on. I don't know. But my number 4 movie is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. There was a time where I couldn't watch that movie at night.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I mean, I could not watch that movie at night because the idea of falling asleep and, of course, dying in your sleep is completely terrifying. Plus, Freddy Krueger, you know, great monster in a movie. Just, I don't know, like just the whole concept of it, you know, the whole concept of him coming after kids and targeting kids is terrifying as well.
Number 3 for me is going to be Clive Barker's Hellraiser movie from 1987. Not the most memorable plot, but it's a movie that introduced you to Pinhead and some other crazy, hellacious, masochistic, gory villains in this movie. I just remember it for the scare factor, the gore factor. The scene that always sticks with me is how they were nailing nails into this guy's head, and then another character had like hooks in his body and was tearing his skin, and it was so grotesque. I don't know why I watched it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a nightmarish film again, you know. Some crazy makeup, some crazy monsters, very ghoulish. Yeah, that's a great choice.
Yeah, it stood the test of time too. You're talking about over 30 years, and you still have like literature about it. It spawned some
many sequels. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. My number 3 also spawned a heck of a load of sequels, man.
Yeah.
It was 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I was thinking about that movie on my list too.
Tobe Hooper, the original movie. You know, that movie had like a documentary feel to it, which I think added a lot to how scared I was by it.
And how real it probably
and
felt.
how real it felt. That family of cannibals, man, and I'm not even talking about Leatherface. I'm talking about all his family members. Super creepy, man. Like, from the very beginning, all throughout the movie, there are some really shocking scenes. There's some great montages throughout. And the fact that the movie takes place in the middle of nowhere, like in rural Texas, makes it that much more unsettling. Again,
it made you not want to stop on the side of the road ever again after watching that movie.
Oh, and such crazy scenes, you know, like with meat hooks and, you know, the props of like bones and like human remains. Very, very crazy set pieces throughout the movie.
My number 2 is a movie that, again, it set off a lot of sequels. It branched out into other franchise crossovers. Can you guess what my number 2 is?
Oh man, I have no idea. Actually.
1979.
1979. Alien?
Yes, Alien.
Ridley Scott's Alien?
Yes, Ridley Scott's Alien, man. Okay, a lot of people will think back on Alien 2, but that was more like action horror thriller.
Sure.
Part 1 was more of a horror movie.
Yeah, nothing beats the suspense of the first one.
And it was like the mother of all crazy, creepy, scary space movies.
Right, sci-fi scary movie, the ultimate sci-fi scary movie.
Yeah,
you know, Ripley is a badass heroine in the movie.
Yes, and the concept of these aliens popping out out of your chest and your stomach.
And then the face hugger.
Yes.
It's one of the most shocking scenes in movie history.
Yes, I love that movie. It has so many good elements to it. Not just the creepiness or the horror factor, but also the storytelling and the visual storytelling, the suspense build up. I could go on and on.
My number 2 is The Exorcist. Man, when I saw that movie for the first time, I don't know if it was because of the way that I was raised, you know, in a Catholic household. I don't know, but just the idea of a little girl being possessed by a demon and just the way that they portrayed it and the head spinning and everything.
And the puking.
And the crucifix and the bed levitation and everything. It was just really impactful. But this movie is so much more than just a girl being possessed by a demon. It's about a lot of these characters facing their fears and their inner demons, and the way that you know, priest, you know, battles this demon is unforgettable. You know, I mean, it's tense all throughout. Nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So here we
Can't
are.
argue with that, yeah.
The moment you guys have been waiting for. Our number 1 picks.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Number 1 is
A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yes, okay,
yes, you
good.
know I'm an
glad,
80s baby.
I'm glad that we both had that on our list, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. How could you not have a movie ranked in your top 10 that made you scared to go to sleep? Talk about such a novel idea.
Yes.
Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger is one of the best actors and characters in all of cinema history.
That's right. So memorable, so iconic. Young Johnny Depp in the movie.
Yeah, one of his first movies.
And also the way that he dies in the movie.
Heather Langenkamp as Nancy.
That's right.
Playing an underrated role.
Drinking a lot of coffee, desperately trying not to go to sleep. I mean, you could really feel her desperation in that movie.
Yes, Wes Craven did an artful job with that movie too.
Yes.
A lot of people might remember this franchise for being kind of funny, but the first one wasn't so funny. It was super creepy and suspenseful and novel, and Freddy Krueger, I just love him.
Yeah, and the way that his long blades made that screeching noise.
Such a better franchise than a Friday the 13th, by the way.
Oh,
better franchise than that.
Eons better, without a doubt. My number 1 is further down on your list.
Give me a hint.
It's further down on your list.
Further down on my list.
It's an 80s movie. It's the ultimate,
is it this movie?
It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate movie that makes you feel utter paranoia, claustrophobia, like you can't escape, like you can't get out.
Like you can't breathe.
It is in the Antarctic. It is surrounded by ice everywhere. It is dark all the time.
It is
Kurt Russell. It is The Thing.
The 80s, 1982. The 80s had the best horror movies. 70s and 80s.
I mean, when I saw that movie, dude, I was clenched. I was the entire time so like, oh my God, like where is it? When is it coming next? Whose body is it invading? What is, like ultimate paranoia. I'll never forget it. When I first saw it, I was, They're
trapped or isolated, like
terrified.
You said, claustrophobic.
Trapped and isolated, like you can't escape. Great effects for the time.
Yes.
You know, utterly creepy. The Thing, man.
Makes you want to grab a blowtorch and see cockroaches and stuff.
And I bet that a lot of people are wondering, where's The Conjuring? Where's The Strangers? Where's this
Paranormal Activity? And where's Annabelle?
Exactly. But, you know, we can't include all those movies on our list, so there it is.
This is what you guys get.
This is what you get.
So, whether or not you agree with our list, I know some of you have some thoughts on this. Let us know in the comments down below. Whether or not you agree, let us know.
And don't forget that if you comment on our review, that you will have a chance to win a prize giveaway. And don't forget to check out our constant updates rolling in on social media. We're on Facebook at Real Screeners and Instagram real.screeners.
Okay, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed our real take on the scariest movies of all time. Check us out next time when we do yet another list of top 10, I don't know, funniest movies maybe, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
And for now, happy Halloween. Ooh.
But it's mostly because we wanted to really Okay.
We wanted to really eat some candy, you know.
That might even be better this way, actually. Oh, dude, I totally messed it up. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. My number two. Okay, let's try that again. Okay.